I wonder how many people are going to comment before listening to what I have to say. Sometimes it's funny to read, I'm not going to lie. What is up, Finn fans? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday. It is the Saturday before Christmas. So I already got my shopping done. I got my little girl something's gonna blow her socks off. And then Santa's coming for her. It's gonna be a blast. She's at the age now where she knows about Santa. She's excited for Santa, so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be real fun. But I hope you guys have a fantastic holiday. I will make a Christmas video telling you guys all mushy stuff and probably making some type of Christmas video like I do every year. But we're talking about the offense and the play calling and some of the struggles that have been happening with the offense this year against better teams. Now, obviously, we have done very well against teams like the Raiders, teams like the Patriots, teams like, I'm trying to think of it, the Bills, But there has been some struggles here and there, and we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about that, I do have to shout out today's sponsor, and that is Clean the World. I've talked about Clean the World a lot, and Clean the World also has a sister corporation foundation called the Wash Foundation. And what the Wash Foundation does is it helps people that need water get water. And right now, as you can tell by the video I am playing over my shoulder, they are right now doing a fundraiser to drill a well in Africa. I'm going to put the link in the description. If you're able to donate, fantastic. If not, that is fine. Don't feel like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. No, but I'm putting this out there because I love what Sean does from Clean the World to the Wash Foundation. And I want to be able to help him do what he is doing for very great, fantastic reasons. So again, if you feel like you can donate, don't feel like you need to, the link is in the description. Go over, donate, help the Wash Foundation try to get these children in Africa some clean drinking water. And Sean, you're doing fantastic work. Thank you so much for being a sponsor, and thank you so much for continuing doing some absolute great things. So let's jump into this Mammoth Jam. Now, first and foremost, we're going to start with the injury updates because it ain't looking too swift. I was talking yesterday about how the 49ers are down to their fifth running back. Well, the Miami Dolphins might be without their top two wide receivers. So this is from Barry Jackson. He says, the Dolphins situation at wide receiver already precarious. Doug, come on. Because of a knee injury to Jalen Waddle, grow a bit more concerning on Friday when Tyreek Hill received a questionable designation for Sunday's game against visiting San Fran on Sunday. He was limited in practice with the Dolphins citing personal reasons and a wrist injury. With Waddle and D. Estridge dealing with a knee injury, both listed as doubtful, the Dolphins have only two healthy receivers on the 53-man roster, being Malik Washington and River Craycraft. They will need to elevate one or two of their three practice squad receivers in Isaiah McKenzie, D. Estridge, or Tariq Black. Hill said Thursday that he would play through the wrist injury the remainder of the season, even though the Dolphins would be eliminated from playoff contention with a loss on Sunday. But after practicing fully on Thursday, Hill was limited in his practice involvement on Friday. He has consistently played through this injury this season, which has bothered him for months, and has said he's leaning against postseason surgery. That's probably also why there's a huge drop in his production this year. Meanwhile, Miami's left tackle Teron Armstead and right tackle Kendall Lamb are questionable, but Armstead said Friday that he's optimistic he will play Sunday after missing the Texans game. And you all saw, the Jets game, how just distraught he looked on the sideline after, banging up his knee. He said he left the Jets game 2 weeks ago after 5 offensive snaps because it was to a point where it was loss of function. It was not a pain thing. It was shutting down on me. I couldn't be in there, put anyone else in harm's way. And that really sucks to hear, because just hearing Armstead say it wasn't a pain thing, it was shutting down on him, means that he probably is going to retire this offseason. And you saw it. You saw it in that Jets game when he was sitting on the sideline getting really emotional, because again, it's not a pain issue. It's his body telling him you're done. And in those situations with these guys who have done it for so long, have played at a high level, it's anxiety inducing to sit there and all of a sudden get this flash of, my career's over. Like, I have like a few more weeks left of this season. I'm going to give it my all. But after that, you know, if my body's shutting down, this is it. And it sucks. It's like you're going at a different time in your life. Lamb was a full participant in Friday's practice, which typically bodes well. McDaniel said both Armstead and Lamb made it through Friday's practice okay, and now you're going to take it up to game time, make sure ducks are in a row for both feeling what it is to play. As the Dolphins listed edge players, Bradley Chubb and Cameron Good as questionable for Sunday, Dolphins have until Christmas to activate both players in order for them to be eligible to play this season. Good was a full participant in practice this week. Chubb was limited all week. During the process, we felt Cam was a little ahead. McDaniel said, optimistic we can see both of them when they're ready. So Cameron Good is probably going to be activated. I doubt Bradley Chubb will. Though Tua was limited practice participant on Wednesday and Thursday due to his hip injury, he does not have any injury designation for Sunday's game and will play. So if Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle don't play, it's going to be a situation where, all right, Tua, go out there and do your thing, and let's see if we can get this W. I'm thinking about, to my patrons, making a video because I heard some information about decisions happening behind the scenes, and I might make a Patreon video maybe tomorrow night talking about things I'm hearing. So if you are a Patreon, keep an eye out on that. It should be coming out soon. So let's talk about the topic at hand, and kind of, is the Miami Dolphin offense doing too much? And that kind of goes into what Mike McDaniel's running, his motions, his verbiage of his plays, the delay of games, the having to call timeouts at horrible situations, the time management. There's a lot that goes into that. And I'm going to start with this right here. I don't know if you've seen it, but I posted it on Twitter. This is a mic'd up session for the Houston Texans. And I just want you to listen what happens here with DeMeco Ryans.
Tight end screen, huh? I knew that was really tight end screen.
And that sucks because DeMeco Ryans, who, yes, and this is what I've heard, hey, he's worked with Mike McDaniel for many years, and they run the same type of offensive system there in Houston. But for him to sit there, and he's a good defensive-minded coach, to sit there and be like, well, they're running a tight end screen. Yep, I knew that was a tight end screen. That's not good, because you were facing on Thursday a guy who has coached with Mike McDaniel and has the same type of offensive system running. This Sunday, tomorrow, you're going to be facing a guy who Mike McDaniel learned from and essentially learned how to run his system from him. So if you think that this guy doesn't know, oh, they're running this here, that here, this here, that here, I gave you guys, and again, I forgot to put it in the video, but I pinned it as a top comment, my score prediction. I thought the Dolphins were going to eke this one out. With Tyreek Hill possibly not playing and all this stuff I'm hearing about how predictable this offense is getting against opponents that know Mike McDaniel. And that's probably why Sean McVay did so well against the Dolphins defensively. My score is about to flip. I think the Dolphins are going to lose this one because Mike McDaniel doesn't make adjustments. And I joked in the off seasons when, you know, in 2022 and in 2023, we came out, we were lighting it up. And then at the end of the year, you know, we were like, oh, the offense is stalling. Why is that? And people would say to me, well, they're figuring the offense out. And I'm like, ah. And then, you know, off season would come and people would be like, oh, they figured the offense out. Watch, they're not going to do anything. And in the start of the season, we would get hot again. And I would keep saying, you have to be a really bad coach if you don't change up things from season to season, because obviously there's going to be film out there and you have to be able to adjust, adapt, and change things. I'm not saying Mike McDaniel's a bad coach, but if he literally is calling out the play before it happens and stops it and goes, yep, I knew that was happening, that's not good. And you see what they did defensively, and I showed you in the film breakdown of, we know what they like to do, where they like to run it. They're going to run this type of motion, which we're going to talk about, and they have pockets on the defensive field where they like to put the ball. And a lot of people blame Tua for that, but I have a different, it is Tua for throwing the ball. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to, exonerate Tua from that. It's also the system, and it's also how it's being run. So that right there was the tip of the iceberg for me. And I was like, I need to make this video because it's too complex, but it's also been figured out. And is it too complex to fix? And I'm going to show you this next. This is from Pat McAfee. Hopefully this doesn't get copyright claim, because I would love to play the full 2.5 minutes without it getting copyright claim. I might just play the audio because I don't want it to get copyright claim, because I don't own this, but I'm reacting to it and I feel like it's going to get copyright claim, and I don't feel like dealing with the copyright claim stuff. So I'm just going to play the audio. I'm sorry. I'm just going to play the audio.
Like, to Gump's point, he's had a lot of success. Hasn't had a bunch of postseason success, obviously. You've seen some people kind of maybe read in between the lines of some things he said in previous interviews about all of the...
Now, to give you context, this isn't, obviously it's not Pat McAfee, but he's talking about Tua Tagovailoa and talking about how the motions and all this pre-snap stuff is making it hard for the offense and for Tua to be able to do the things he needs to do pre-snap. Now, I know people who are not going to like Tua are going to say, well, that's on Tua. He needs to do this, that, and blah, blah, blah. I need you to stick with me. I need you to listen.
Gimmicks, for lack of a better term, getting to the line of scrimmage. Hey, play clock, I got a motion, I got a this, I got a shift.
You're talking about, do we have the video? It's from Kaufman, I believe, who is the largest.
Shout out to Chris Kaufman. Go follow him on Twitter at CK Parrot. Fantastic follow, and we're gonna read some of the stuff he talked about.
Independent
Miami Dolphins podcast.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
He was posting these videos. I don't think this.
All right, we got North Right Clamp, South Fox, H top, pass 38 top, Gumby XP Sweat. On one, ready, break.
So that was a play. So Tua is working with, I forgot his name. He's a TikToker who reviews food. Here, I'll show you just real quick. He's a TikToker who reviews food, but he's working with him. And he essentially gave him a play. Look, this is the play. And this is what I was talking to you guys about when Huntley was out there, when Skyler was out there, when Tim Boyle was out there, when it shouldn't have been a problem with Skyler. He's been in this for 3 years, but obviously it's that difficult that the time of possession, not time of possession, but the play clock, you're like, come on, hike the ball, because you heard the verbiage. And Tua knows it. Tua knows this playbook in and out, and he knows everything that's going to happen. So that's why a lot of times I think it's run more smoothly with Tua, because Mike's probably throwing a play at him like, hey, we're going to run deuce close. And he's like, I know what you're saying. And then he'll just call it out because he needs more time. And this is exactly why he needs more time.
Northwest, crop, up, down, go to the left, then don't go over there. Clamp, 1-1-1. Close enough.
But as you're thinking of the play, you also got to think about, okay, there's the down and distance. All right, it's second
That's crazy.
down.
You have to do that.
All right, what is the front of the defense? What's the shell? Okay, is it too high? All right, they're starting it too high, but here's the possibility of if they go to one high, this is what that thing could look like. All right, are they bringing simulated pressure? If he comes, he's coming down, he's going to the middle. Okay, this is what the coverage could be. But you're like thinking of all of that before it happens, and then you're like, okay, does the clock give me time? I can't. Sit hut. Here we go.
So obviously he's just.
And that's the problem there. And that's, again, I saw the first video with D'Amico Ryan, and then I saw this video, and there's more that we're going to play. I think there's like another minute or so more that we're going to play. But I noticed that, and first off, it really opened my eyes, because I remember for the longest time Tua came out his rookie year and he said he didn't know the playbook that well, and everyone thought he was dumb and he doesn't know football, and they got to make it easy for him and this and that, when he is literally telling you how, and people say, oh, he can't read defenses and this and that. He literally told you what he looks for and how he expects the shades to change. Cover two might drop down. This is going to happen, all that stuff. on top of figuring all that out, so he has to get the verbiage out, right? Then he has to give himself enough time. So Mike McDaniel has to tell him to play. So say it's not Tua, say it's Skylar Thompson, Tyler Huntley, Tim Boyle. Mike McDaniel has to tell them to play. They then have to regurgitate the play to the players. Then they have to get either in the shotgun, pistol, behind center. They need to read the defense pre-snap to see what it is. Am I going to throw this way? Am I going to run it this way? All that stuff. And then on top of that, they have to throw the motion in there. And they have to do all of this within 40 seconds. And I tried to find a stat, and I apologize I couldn't, where I wanted to see the average time each team snaps the ball. Like, do the Dolphins snap the ball with 5 seconds left on the play clock averagely? Do the Jets do it with 1? Because I know that Aaron Rodgers has a problem getting the ball snapped quickly. I couldn't find a stat on that. So if you can, please link it below. I'd really like to see that stat. But all of this verbiage, all of this stuff is making it hard for pre-snap recognition and pre-snap motion and audibles. And how are you going to audible? And that's the other thing that people say is, if Tua sees, the safety's coming down and the play's calling to go that way, he should have audible out. Well, he'll audible out, and you'll see him doing this, making changes and stuff, but he'll have to audible out, do whatever, tap his shoulders, whatever. And then with the new audible, still have to get the motion in. And you have to do that in that 40 seconds when what I've seen is a lot of times they get to the line of scrimmage with 15 seconds left. So in 15 seconds, you have to read the defense. You have to see if the motions, you have to do this. You have to, call out your changes, recognize the mic, let your receivers know if you want them to change their routes, call an audible if you want to, and then allow the motion to happen. It's too much. It's too much. And it's not too much. And I know people are going to say, that's because Tua sucks. It's too much for him because he sucks. No, it's too much for anybody. It's too much verbiage. It's trying to be too much. It's Mike McDaniel, in my opinion, trying to be that mad scientist when he should not do that. Let's listen to more of this.
Explaining life of a quarterback for him. Mr. Kaufman would then put out this video as well. And I think the point that, I think it's Koufman.
Yeah.
Is the last
Kaufman.
We apologize. We appreciate your research, though. His angle on X is pretty much like, Tua's been dropping hits, and it's a lot. Mm-hmm. And then here's him after losing, I believe, to the Kansas City Chiefs last year.
This is in the playoffs.
I would attest that to the communication errors that we've had. Am I hearing the right formation? Okay, we're getting out, but we have 2 motions that we have to use. So it's maybe 9 seconds left on the clock. We're motioning. It's about 5 seconds. We don't have time to change, and so now we got to play, and I mean we got to throw where our hots would be, but I mean where they pressured. I mean Spag had a good plan, and they executed well against us.
So I think he's just trying to explain his positioning, but there is some people that are saying like, hey, it's a lot on Tua's shoulders, that particular offense, and maybe we can dial it down a little bit, but I don't know if McDaniel's offense has those capabilities.
I mean, you got to adjust. That's what good coaches do. And you obviously want your starter in there. Usually, I forgot which coach said it, you don't like to practice fucked. Most teams lose their starting quarterback. It's not going to be good, but you want a system that you can also get another quarterback. You can get Malik Willis can come in, and I can adjust and win a couple games if our guy goes down. So I'm sure some adjustments will be made. I think Mike McDaniel's a good coach. I obviously think Tua's a good quarterback as well. It's tough to win, obviously, and at this point in the year especially. So I hope as a Dolphin fan they figure it out.
So nailed it. And this is the other gentleman that was talking here. I don't know his name, so if you do know his name, please comment below. But he nailed it on the head, especially what Tua said after the playoff game, but also what this gentleman said in the aspect of that's why there was such a drastic drop from Tua to Huntley, Boyle, and Skylar Thompson. Because Tua has the offense down. Tua knows the motions. Tua knows how much time he needs to have, get the plays in, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Let's go. Whereas Huntley, who just came in, Tim Boyle just came in, Skylar Thompson obviously isn't your 7th-round pick for a reason, couldn't run it that way. And if that's the case, you need to be able to adapt and change. And Mike McDaniel has shown over the years that he has a hard time doing that. A la if Tua's not in there, if Tua's injured, we've seen Teddy Bridgewater struggle. We've seen 5 different quarterbacks struggle if Tua's not in there. And a lot of people say, well, it's because the offense is made for Tua. No, because even Tua's saying the offense needs to be brought down a little bit. You look at other teams, and this is where I brought in some data, and then we're going to read a little bit of what Chris Kaufman had to say, because again, he had a lot of great things to say. The Miami Dolphins were the second most penalized team this year when it came to personalized formation and personalized penalty. 14. They had 7 illegal formations, 2 illegal motions, and 5 illegal shifts. The second most in the NFL, right? When it came to motions, when it came to pass plays, they motioned 76.88% of the time. The second team under them was the 49ers, running at 64.11. So the Dolphins ran motions on their pass plays 12% more than the second most team, which was the 49ers. When it came to running the ball, they ran motion 82.92% of the time. The second under them was the Rams, running at 76.09%. Like, the Dolphins run motion a lot. And a lot of times it doesn't benefit them because it hurts the continuity of it. Now, this is what Chris Kaufman has to say. This is not an easy thing. People get caught up in the impressively complex verbiage of the play call, which is a hallmark of the West Coast offense. But it's really not about that. It's about how quickly the call comes in, and about the pre-snap choreography. It's about the fundamental beliefs behind the system and whether they believe adjustments should be made before or after the snap. Some systems fully believe every play call has the answers to whatever the defense presets post-snap. The Houston Texans offense under Bobby Slowick, same as McDaniel in that tree, also has the approach, and CJ Stroud has coined the quote, "You call it, we ball it." So essentially, he's saying, CJ Stroud, essentially, you call it in, I'm not audibling it, we're going to run what you're calling, right? That, down the middle, I'm not making changes. These systems tend to hold that between the quarterback, blockers, and receivers. The players can make appropriate adjustments on the fly during the play to whatever the defense is showing. Everyone just needs to be on the same page, and that's why you practice it with each other so much. Obviously, that's a tough ask, but it's highly rewarded if a player can consistently get it right, particularly in Miami, where the layers of pre-snap choreography and misdirection made it so that the defense is somehow always missing a defender and playing 10-man defense. And that is why it works so well in 2022 and in 2023, because of how well our speedy receivers were able to pick it up and do their thing. Chris says the drawback is that if the players show that they can't get it right consistently, you have a bunch of pre-snap penalties, second in the NFL. You have a busted play where players are not on the same page, and you have wasted play calls where the play caller calls a probability, in the words of Tom Brady, and it's like Tecmo Bowl, and the defender just called the right defense for your play call. And importantly, one of the drawbacks is the quarterback doesn't have as much latitude at the line to digest the defense tells and make pre-snap adjustments to get the better concepts. Like I was telling you, doesn't have enough time to go, okay, I can see they're bringing the safety down, they're shifting, looks like they're going to be blitzing off the left side. I could probably get the pass behind. Oh, nope, I got 2 seconds. I got to hurry up and get this motion on it. We got to go. In the Super Bowl, the Patriots took advantage of the Rams' tendencies to get up to the line quickly, look at the defense, and bark out before the headsets cut out. Adjustments to Jared Goff, which he could either communicate to the rest of the offense before the play or just adjust to his own post-snap execution. Brian Hoyer, the backup quarterback for New England, had played for Kyle Shanahan and recognized that Sean McVay was doing the same thing that way. So the Patriots, with Brian Flores as the defensive coordinator, had a game plan that relied on two defensive play calls for every play. They would show one look, wait for the Rams to adjust, and show a different look. I believe McVay's offense scored 3 points in the Super Bowl. Articles were written detailing how they came about, and That's how we know all of this. And Brian Flores owns the Rams. Like, his defense owns the Rams because he knows how to shut that down. So whether you're adjusting pre-snap or post-snap or some combination of both, there's a lot on the quarterback to get it right. But there's a lot on the players around the quarterback to get it right. If you're relying on it, a lot of adjustments on the fly. I think what is important is listening to players, especially the quarterback, and try to figure out whether you're too much or on one or not enough on the other. And that's why I keep saying Tua has been trying to tell us. He clearly would like more time at the line and more latitude to make pre-snap changes and communicate frustration enough times. It's clear. My speculation also that Mike McDaniel being a head coach and having on the sideline, have to be on the sidelines worrying about head coach things is also resulting in the play call / personnel change coming in too slow, exacerbating all of this. It's clear something needs to change. Hit the nail on the head, right? Tua wants to have the ability to audible. Tua wants to have the ability to read the defense, give him more time. You don't need to have all these motions. You don't need to have all this verbiage. You don't need to have all these things. And Tua has been asking and talking about it for years now so he can do more on the field. A lot of people put this stigma and a lot of people put these narratives on Tua that he can't do these things. He's not good at pre-snap. He can't make motion. He can't make audibles. He doesn't have the time. Now, again, I'm not sitting here and going to give you a plethora of excuses for Tua because, again, some of his interceptions, use your eyes, man. Like, especially against the Texans, when you see the safety coming down, he even came out and said it. The one play where he took the hit, now he's dealing with a little bit of a hip pain. He said, I should have thrown it to Jonnu. You know, I got to start doing this. I got to stop doing that. He has come out and recognized these things, but also it's on the coach to make his life easier. That's the thing that I think people are missing when it comes to Tua as your quarterback, right? People don't like Tua. Now, I'm not saying a majority or minority, whatever. There are people in the fan base that don't like Tua. And they think, make Tua's life a living hell. And if he doesn't survive, cool. Because they don't like him. They don't want him here. Whereas you look at other teams and what they did with their quarterback, and this is why I have a gripe with Chris Greer, and I'm starting to get a little bit of a gripe with McDaniel. You look at Justin Herbert, you look at Joe Burrow, you look at Jalen Hurts is a prime example, right? Jalen Hurts was about to be shipped out. The Eagles stocked up on first-round picks, and they were like, if Jalen Hurts doesn't succeed, we're going to move on from him. And lo and behold, they put the dream team around him. They got him the right coordinator. They put him in the perfect system, and they went to the Super Bowl, and they used those 2 first-round picks to get more talent. Now they got Saquon Barkley, putting more around him. That's what you need to do with your quarterback. Regardless, as a fan, if you think Tua is a franchise quarterback or not, he was taken 5th overall, and as a GM, that's your duty and obligation to have your 5th overall pick have the chance to be successful. And from what I'm seeing with what I'm hearing about Mike McDaniel's offense and what I'm seeing, obviously, for the past 5 years with Tua, they're not doing that. Now, again, Tua still, and I'm not sitting here and, saying, oh, he's innocent, blah, 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 because Tua still needs to do things when he has the time and he has the reads, because he still misses on things and he still doesn't stay healthy. And those are my criteria for him. But also, we didn't build the team correctly around him. You built the team correctly around a mobile quarterback. You don't have a mobile quarterback. That'd be like Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. And, we can run down the plethora of lists of non-mobile quarterbacks. And you're like, I'm going to build in a crappy offensive line. You know why? Because we know you can get the ball out quick. And we're going to build off that. That's dumb. That's not how you build a winning team. So these next 3 games are going to be telling. And like I said, I'm going to talk about a lot when it comes to a little behind the scenes stuff on the Patreon probably tomorrow night. But overall with this video, the offense is doing too much. And McDaniel is now juggling the offense and juggling being a head coach, and he's messing up on the head coaching duties when it comes to time management, adjustments, challenges, timeouts. I already said that. Game planning. He's messing up on that. And you can see because of his record versus good teams and bad teams. He's taking advantage of facing bad teams because they're bad. But when you go up against an Andy Reid, you go up against, the Bills, you go up against these teams that have good coaches that will play chess against you, he loses. Because his head is, I got to be a head coach. Wait, I got to call these plays. I got to be a head coach. I got to call these plays. He needs to simplify it. So if they keep McDaniel, which I think, again, fire Greer, let the new GM decide. But if they keep McDaniel, he needs to be stripped back of play calling and he needs to focus on being a head coach. And if he doesn't want to, I think that's what I would do if I was the Dolphins, right? Get rid of Chris Greer, have the new GM come in, have the new GM sit down with Mike McDaniel. Hey, Mike, listen, you got to pick one or the other, my man. You can't be the head coach and the offense coordinator. You know, I know you see Kyle Shanahan doing it, but he's successful with it. You got to pick one or the other. And if he's like, oh, I really can't, and they'll be like, okay, you know, we have a decision to make, and then you move on from him. Because he needs to take that next step. He needs to take that maturity step that we see coaches do when they leave. Dan Campbell left, went to New Orleans for 4 years, figured out how to be a head coach, fantastic head coach with Detroit. Hey, Mike, we'd like you to learn that here because I think he could be a good head coach. But I'd say to him, got to decide, do you want to be a head coach or an offensive coordinator? You can't be both. And if he's like, I think I want to do both, okay, when we have a decision to make, we'll get back to you. And then I'd move on from him. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys tomorrow with my father. 425 taking on the 49ers. But like usual, stay classy. Evans up.